What's up, Copy Squad? It's your boy Kyle Milligan of CopySquad.net, and today we're going to dive into an email copywriting crash course. In this crash course, we're going to cover what email copywriting is, why it's so important, why your emails probably suck, and how to fix them. Now, the first thing we're going to do, what is email copywriting? I'm going to approach this, and it's important that you understand this from a philosophical perspective. As on most of our crash courses, this singular line and concept is going to be the foundation that will drive the results for you. And the first thing that you need to understand about email copywriting and the way that we use it inside of our business and industry is email is a traffic driver. It's not a place to explain things. It's not a place to convince them to buy. It's not a place to make any sort of sales argument, okay? For us, the way that we use it is we are simply trying to move them from point A, which would be their email inbox. We're going to move them to point B, which would be the actual sales message. That's where we're going to do the heavy lifting of presenting a sales argument and getting them to buy something. This is critical because this is the foundation. Again, when you sit down, if you just remember that I'm just trying to move someone from this place to that place, it changes the whole dynamic and approach when you sit down to write emails. Now you have a completely different mindset about what it is that you're about to write. That's why it's so important. That's question number 2. Why is this so important? Because it eliminates 80% of the mistakes that people make out of the get-go when you understand that I'm not here to convince you to buy something. I'm not in this email trying to craft the sales argument. The argument that you're making in an email isn't necessarily an argument. It's more of a little game that you play with the reader. I had a copywriter on my team this week tell me after running a campaign that, holy crap, the emails I wrote this week, I was just like, ugh, you guys need to check this out. And I didn't tell them anything, and for some reason it was the best performing emails I have written. And I was like, yes, you get it. That's the secret. That's the trick. We're not there to try to get them to buy anything. We're there to get them to try to go find out more information. So now you understand what email copywriting is. Its function is to drive traffic from point A to point B. And then you understand why that's important because it will completely shift the mindset paradigm of how you sit down to write and approach your email craft. Now let's get into some of the most common mistakes of email copywriting. So the first is, we've already kind of talked about it, is you're trying to explain stuff. You're trying to convince the reader of something. You're trying to make a sales argument, or you're explaining just too much stuff. So that's one problem. It's a big problem. We've already taken care of that. What are some of the other problems? So let's say you figure that out and you're trying to build intrigue, trying to build curiosity. So some of the things that people do wrong in this arena is, one, they have too many threads. When you sit down and you're trying to intrigue them, trying to build curiosity, you have to come to the table with this one frame. You have to have one sort of idea or one sort of key piece to your email that it is that will drive your reader insane with curiosity. If you just are randomly I want to get into this page, there's this crazy thing and this crazy thing and this crazy thing, and it doesn't all tie back to one central frame or key thing that they're supposed to be freaking out about and just curious and going insane with what is it? If you don't have that one thing in mind when you sit down, when you start teasing, it's going to be nonsense. You're going to be all over the place, and that's going to be how you fix it. But the problem is too many threads, okay, where you have one line and then a tangential line that doesn't match up on the next line, and then you say some other weird thing to try to tease. People get caught in this trap where they don't come up with one frame and one idea and then let that frame just breathe, and tie everything back to it. So that's a big email mistake. Another massive mistake that a lot of people make is a lack of structure. When they sit down to write the email, they don't really understand the formula or template or the way an email is supposed to unfold. Just because there isn't a sales argument present in an email doesn't mean there isn't some sort of structure to it, some sort of narrative element that you still need to convey to the reader. It's basically an intrigue formula for how to get them to want to click, to go from their email inbox and to your sales message. So a lot of times people sit down and again, they're just willy-nilly with this is crazy and this will make them curious and nobody knows what I'm talking about here, and then you end up with a big mess. Let me tell you about one of my core philosophies in copy, and that is do the least. Usually the simpler the explanation or execution, the closer to the truth it is, okay? So when it comes to writing copy, like with NSBE emotions, new, easy, safe, and big, if you've heard me talk about those probably nonstop, if you haven't, you can check out the Big 4 Selling Emotions in a free PDF at copysquad.net/4 triggers. That'll teach you how to sell to the emotional brain using new, easy, safe, and big. But it's just 4 simple emotions. Same thing with email. It's really about just doing the least. doing the most simple thing. The way people mess up emails is usually by tripping over their own shoelaces, crafting their own hurdles and obstacles inside the email instead of just sticking to something very simple and basic, as I'll show you in just a second, okay? So why your emails might suck is definitely due to having poor structure, creating too many threads or narratives that trip the reader up and yourself and getting them curious, and then explaining too much stuff or trying to build a sales argument within your email. That's a big no-no. So, how do we fix that? The way we fix that is, first and foremost, you need a structure. That's the DIC plus U formula, and that's disrupt, intrigue, click, and then your click or call to action, you need to have some sort of element of urgency. Now, urgency doesn't have to be like buy now or it's gone forever, or buy because there's only 10 of these left. It doesn't have to be that. It can be just like poking them with the element of FOMO, okay? The other way to fix it is, again, come up with your frame. What is the one thing you want to make them curious about? And then think about how you're going to make them curious about it. That's it. When you have those two things, I'm gonna make them curious about this, and here are some of the ways that I can do that. Now you just sit down and you just sort of like, it's like a comedian that beats a joke to death. All right, it's sort of like that. Like you just kind of go on and on and on. And generally, this will feel very uncomfortable to a copywriter, especially like an amateur copywriter. They'll feel like they have to have something new and exciting in line 1, and then something new in line 2, and then something new in line 3, and they don't understand that they can actually stick with this one concept and just tease it for a line, and then another line, and then stretch it, and then go all the way for 4 or 5, 6 lines about this one thing, never revealing anything, and that will drive the reader mad with curiosity. A lot of green copywriters are not comfortable. They don't feel that sort of confidence that they can hold that attention long enough and then get them all the way down to the click. But I'm telling you, the way to have success in email is to get out of your own way, have that confidence, and just move with one idea down a single path of just teasing that thing out and out and out until the person is absolutely mad with intrigue and curiosity. Another thing, like, you really want to think of it as a game you're playing with the reader. You want to think of it as like brother, sister, like, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you. You're sort of being coy with the reader. You're promising something, but then you're like not going to give it to them in that email, and it's going to drive them insane. This is the game that you want to play with them. You want to be playful when you sit down at the keyboard. Even if you're writing something fearful, if you come at it from a playful demeanor, in the keys, whenever you write it out, it will come across correct. So I'll give you a couple examples sort of off the top of my head. One I go to is like political stocks or financial publishing can use something like, "You're not gonna believe what just happened in the White House. It's kind of crazy. If you're holding energy stocks, you might be really worried about this. Old Joe Biden's done it again, and I don't think you're gonna like it. If you're holding these stocks, it could really mess up your portfolio, something kind of bad." I mean, there is a group of stocks that could survive this event, and I actually know a dude who's like a specialist in these sorts of events. Like, he predicted this same sort of thing like 50 times, and he's predicting it again now, and I think he has the key to like making money during this. But most people are probably going to lose a boatload of money. So if you want to see what he has to say, you can click here now. Otherwise, I don't think there's a lot of time left before what he predicts comes to pass. So notice I have all those elements right there. Disrupt. I don't think you're going to like what just happened in the White House. That's the event. That's a single golden thread. Then I tease about the event. I never steer away from the event. Joe Biden has done it again. He's done something that's going to hurt energy stocks because of this thing that he did. If you have a certain type of stock, if you are holding the S&P, might be bad for you. That's another mistake I can come back to, is copywriters who forget the reader and just tell a story. Oh my God, this drives me up the wall. Don't forget the reader. Tell the reader what they want to hear. Every single line, the disrupt. The disrupt has to be something that the reader cares about. Don't do what I call dropping a stick of dynamite at their feet. That's where you just like say something outrageous or over the top. Like, I see people like just burning money on YouTube ads and stuff like that. It's like, what? No, what? That doesn't get anyone to like lean in. Your disrupt should get your reader to lean in and say, what? Because it concerns them. That's actually a disrupt. Not just like that's not a good disrupt. Like, yes, I'll turn and look, but it's not because I'm interested. It's, you got my attention. It's not real attention. Do something, say something that they're like, what is that? And they're going to lean in because they're interested. It's important to them. So disrupt. the intrigue element, like, he's done it again. If you're holding energy stocks, it could be bad for you. But I'm sort of playful when I think about it in my head and I talk about it to myself. Like, I don't know if you're gonna like this. And I sort of slowly transition to, I know a guy who's actually predicted very similar things, like 50 times about this. He's doing it again. I mean, he's already done it 50 times, but he's doing it again. There's not a lot of time left. So notice my urgency is sort of like twofold. One, he's done it before. He's predicted these great events where you can make a ton of money, and he's doing it again now. And if you want to get in on that, you need to click. Or the flip side of that coin is, well, if you don't, you're kind of screwed because these stocks are going to hell, and if you're holding them, you're screwed, right? So notice how I'm building that urgency without being like, click here now, it's so urgent. Like, see how I'm able to build and integrate it into my intrigue and the way that it flows, and it's very fluid. Click here now. That email, 8 lines maybe, right? I'll give you another one. I got some little notes here. Let's say I'm trying to sell you, maybe you can guess what I'm trying to sell you here. I want to tell you about this new way to lose weight, but I'm not sure you're going to believe me. That's because, based on most traditional weight loss knowledge, this makes no sense. It shouldn't even work. It literally asks you to eat the same kind of stuff we've been told forever not to eat. That makes you fatter and flabby and weak. And so the crazy part is, it asks you to do that, but you don't even have to track calories or do any like the hard work of it. It kind of just like has this sort of like, it's science backed to like just make your body start losing weight, and it's the most counterintuitive thing I've ever seen. So yeah, it's definitely science backed, and if you have an open mind, I'd like to show you, but I didn't believe it, so I can understand your skepticism. But I mean, you can check this out right now. It's absolutely, I'm stunned by some of the results I've seen. I've actually already started losing weight for it. So I got a little page here. It'll tell you about how it works and everything. You can see the science for yourself, or you can keep doing what you've been doing if that's working for you. If you're losing weight, if you're ripped, if you're having a great life, living your best life, and you're beach ready 24/7, you can keep doing that, and I recommend you do. But you know, this new way, you don't have to track. You barely have to do anything, and it actually allows you to eat really delicious stuff. So I mean, it's up to you. Check it out. Click here now. The thing I'm selling there is keto. Okay, I've got another one here for you. We have a brand new, all right, here we go. This is for e-com people. I got a brand new accessory that's cheaper than pizza and can make you look cooler than James Bond. It's simple, it's sleek, it's classy, it's cool as hell, and it's very subtle too. Like when you put it on, like people might not notice it until like they do notice it. And when they notice it, I'm like, ooh, what is that? Where'd you get that? And people, like the dudes are gonna envy you when they see it. They're gonna be asking, and the girls are always gonna notice it too. I guess I'm selling men's stuff. So yeah. Anyways, what I'm trying to sell there is like a watch. What I'm trying to do is just like play a little game with the reader. Like, ooh, I got this cool thing that's gonna be cheaper than a pizza and make you look cooler than James Bond. Right? And all I'm trying to do is I'm playing a little game with the reader. I'm poking at them. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm not gonna actually tell them what it is. Now in e-com, you might want to be a little more direct, but I'm trying to show you that this can work for just about anything when it comes to like this sort of methodology of like teasing out something, letting it breathe, not just rushing to tell them what it is or break the tension or just throw the call to action early. You can tease this out, you can have fun with it, and that is the point I'm trying to make. That's our email copywriting crash course. I'm probably going to be doing more email content for you guys in the future. I hope you got something out of this, and leave comments if you have any questions and I'll answer them in future videos. Thanks so much for tuning in. Peace out, Copy Squad.